They say a woman is weak when she is alone, but I have learned something very different in life. A woman with no one by her side is not empty, she is under construction. When the noise of the world fades, when the crowd disappears, when even the closest people walk away, that is when a woman meets her real strength for the first time. They say a woman is weak when she is alone. But life has taught me something very different. A woman with no one by her side is not empty, she is becoming. When the noise fades, when the crowd disappears, when expectations shatter and support vanishes, that is when a woman meets her true self. Not the version shaped by people's opinions, but the version strengthened by reality. She wakes up every day not because life is kind to her, but because surrender is not in her nature. There is no shoulder to lean on, yet she walks with quiet dignity. There is no one to guide her, yet she finds her own direction. There is no one to protect her, yet she learns how to protect herself. She may smile less, speak less, and trust less, but inside her, something powerful is being built. People often misunderstand her silence. They think it means weakness. They do not realize that silence is the workshop where strong souls are created. They think she is broken because she stands alone. They do not understand that sometimes life removes support so that you may discover your own strength. In loneliness, she learns lessons that comfort never teaches. She learns how to decide without asking for permission. She learns how to stand after falling without waiting for someone to lift her. She learns how to keep going even when motivation disappears. And most importantly, she learns her own worth, not from compliments, not from attention, but from survival. Yes, there are nights when her heart feels heavy. There are moments when the world feels too cruel and too unfair. There are days when she is tired of being strong, but even in that tiredness, she does not quit. Because deep inside she knows, this phase is shaping her, not destroying her. Some people live surrounded by many faces, yet remain lonely inside. And some stand completely alone, yet carry peace, purpose, and power within them. A woman who learns to walk alone first will never walk with fear again. She builds her self-respect before she searches for love. She creates her own value before she seeks validation. She becomes complete before she chooses companionship. And when she finally allows someone into her life, it is not out of desperation. It is out of strength. Never underestimate a woman who has survived without support. Never judge a woman who walks alone. Because the woman who suffers in silence learns how to rise without noise, and one day, when success stands beside her, the same world that ignored her pain will wonder how she became so strong. If today you feel lonely, unseen, or unsupported, remember this: you are not being abandoned. You are being prepared. Life is not breaking you. Life is revealing you. Storms do not come to ruin strong buildings. They come to test their strength. And the woman who learns to stand alone in the storm becomes the unshakable foundation of her own destiny. You are not behind, you are not weak, and your story is not finished. Sometimes being alone is not a punishment. It is a powerful training ground for the greatest version of you. Sometimes a woman is not left alone because she is unlovable. Sometimes she is left alone because life wants to show her just how powerful she truly is. When she stands with no one by her side, the world assumes she is losing. But what the world cannot see is that she is learning, growing, and silently transforming. At first, loneliness feels heavy. It feels like the room is too quiet and the nights are too long. She searches for familiar voices, familiar comfort, familiar hands. But slowly she realizes that this phase is not about finding others. It is about finding herself, and that discovery is never easy. She learns how to face mornings without encouragement. She learns how to face challenges without advice. She learns how to face fear without reassurance. And in doing so, she begins to understand something deeply important. Strength is not something given by others, it is awakened from within. The world teaches women to depend. Life teaches some women to stand. And when a woman learns to stand alone, her walk changes, her eyes change, her heart changes. She no longer begs for attention. She no longer fears abandonment. She no longer measures her worth through the presence of people. There are days when she feels exhausted from being strong, days when tears fall quietly and no one notices, days when her heart whispers, "I need rest." But even on those days, she does not collapse. She pauses, she breathes, and then she rises again, because her strength is no longer emotional. It has become spiritual. Loneliness teaches her discipline, pain teaches her patience, silence teaches her clarity, and struggle teaches her faith in herself. Slowly, she becomes someone who does not need loud validation to feel confident. She becomes someone whose peace is not dependent on who stays and who leaves. Some people are surrounded by many, yet feel empty, and some walk alone, yet feel complete. The difference is not company. The difference is self, connection. A woman who survives alone learns to choose wisely. She does not invite everyone into her life anymore, not because she is afraid, but because she now knows her value. She understands that not every hand that approaches is meant to help, and not every smile carries sincerity. And when success eventually finds her, people will say she was lucky. They will not see the nights she cried quietly. They will not see the battles she fought without witnesses. They will not see the strength she built when there was no backup plan. If you are walking alone today, do not rush this phase. Do not curse this chapter. Solitude is not here to break you. It is here to build you. You are learning how to become whole without leaning. One day, when you finally walk beside someone, you will not walk as someone searching for support. You will walk as someone who knows her worth, guards her peace, and chooses companionship, not out of fear of being alone, but out of respect for herself. Being alone does not mean you are weak. Being alone means you are being shaped for something greater. And when your time comes, your strength will speak louder than your loneliness ever did. There is a quiet kind of strength that is born only when a woman walks alone. Not the loud strength that demands attention, not the dramatic strength that seeks sympathy, but the silent strength that grows when there is no one left to depend on. At first, being alone feels like rejection, but slowly it begins to feel like revelation. When there is no one to call, she learns how to listen to her own heart. When there is no one to guide her, she learns how to trust her own steps. When there is no one to protect her, she learns the art of self-respect and self-boundaries. And without realizing it, the fragile version of her begins to disappear. Loneliness teaches her patience more than any teacher ever could. Pain teaches her discipline better than comfort ever will. And silence teaches her clarity better than noise ever did. She starts to notice how strong her mind can be when it stops depending on constant validation. She starts to feel how powerful her soul becomes when it is no longer distracted by approval. There are mornings when she feels heavy for no clear reason. There are nights when tears arrive without invitation. There are moments when she questions why life chose this path for her. But slowly, she understands that this path is not meant to make her suffer. It is meant to make her solid. The world may look at her and see a woman standing alone, but what the world does not see is the courage it takes to keep walking when no one is clapping. What it does not see is the strength it takes to smile when the heart feels tired. What it does not see is how many times she fell silently and stood up without witnesses. She begins to understand that companionship is beautiful, but dependence is dangerous. She learns that love is precious, but self-respect is priceless. She realizes that being wanted by others is comforting, but being rooted within herself is empowering. A woman who survives alone becomes very careful about who she lets close, not because she has become cold, but because she has become wise. She no longer runs toward anyone who offers temporary warmth. She looks for truth, stability, and depth. And when success eventually visits her life, people will call it sudden. They will not see the slow, painful nights that built it. They will not see the lonely decisions that shaped it. They will not see the faith that kept her moving when nothing made sense. If today your path feels empty, if your phone is silent, if your heart feels tired, do not assume you are forgotten. Sometimes life places us in solitude not to isolate us, but to initiate us into our higher self. Growth often happens away from the crowd. Strength is often built in situations we never wanted, and confidence is often born from chapters we never planned. Being alone is not always a sign of loss. Sometimes it is a sign that you are being prepared for a life that requires unmatched strength. You may walk alone today, but you are not walking without purpose. And one day, your silent journey will become your loudest victory. Sometimes life slowly removes people from a woman's life. Not all at once, not suddenly, but gently, one by one. At first she feels confused. Then she feels hurt. And one day she realizes she is standing alone. Not because she failed, but because life is teaching her how to stand on her own feet. In the beginning, being alone feels like emptiness. The room feels quieter than usual. The phone stays silent for longer than expected. The heart starts asking questions it never asked before. But with time, she begins to notice something unexpected. Within that silence, a new voice is rising. Her own. She starts listening to herself. She starts trusting her instincts. She starts understanding her emotions instead of escaping them. And slowly, the fear of loneliness turns into the strength of self-awareness. There was a time when she needed constant reassurance. Someone to tell her she was doing right. Someone to hold her when she felt unsure. Someone to remind her of her worth. But standing alone teaches her something priceless. Her value does not come from being chosen by others. It comes from choosing herself every single day. Loneliness reshapes her thinking. It makes her question what truly matters. It makes her separate noise from truth. It shows her the difference between attachment and connection. And without even realizing it, she becomes emotionally stronger, mentally steadier, and spiritually deeper. There are days when she still feels tired of being strong, days when she wishes someone would understand without explanation, days when she feels the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. But even on those days, she keeps moving, not because she has no fear, but because her faith has grown larger than her fear. The world often sees a woman who walks alone and assumes she is lacking something. But the truth is, she is no longer chasing what once distracted her. She is focused. She is grounded. She knows where she is going, even if the road feels long. She learns a powerful lesson. Not everyone who walks with you is meant to stay, and not everyone who leaves is meant to betray you. Some leave to make space. Some leave to teach. Some leave so that you may meet the strongest version of yourself. When a woman survives solitude, she stops tolerating what disturbs her peace. She stops proving her worth. She stops shrinking her voice. She understands that love should not cost self-respect, and attention should not cost dignity. And when success eventually reaches her, people will think she was always confident. They will not see the quiet struggles. They will not see the unanswered prayers. They will not see how many times she doubted herself and kept moving anyway. If today you are walking without support, remember this: being alone does not mean you are unloved. It often means you are being refined. Just like gold is purified in fire, strong souls are shaped in solitude. You are not late, you are not forgotten, and you are not weak. You are in the process of becoming someone who will no longer fear being alone, because she has already learned how to survive it. And the woman who learns how to survive alone learns how to rise forever. There comes a point in a woman's life when the crowd slowly fades, expectations fall silent, and the only footsteps she hears are her own. At first, that sound feels frightening. It echoes too loudly in empty spaces. But with time, she realizes those footsteps are not a sign of loss. They are the sound of her becoming independent. When she has no one to rely on, she begins to rely on herself. When no one checks on her, she learns to check on her own heart. When no one defends her, she learns to stand up without trembling. And without noticing, she transforms from someone waiting for support into someone who has become support for herself. There was a time when she searched for comfort in others. She waited for messages, for reassurance, for someone to say, "You matter." But solitude teaches her a deeper truth. Her worth is not a gift someone gives her. It is a truth she must accept within herself. The nights are not always easy. There are moments when the silence feels heavier than noise. There are days when she wonders why her journey seems harder than others. But every difficult moment adds a layer of strength. Every unanswered question builds her patience. Every lonely step deepens her trust in her own ability to survive. The world often misreads her independence. Some think she is proud. Some think she is distant. Some think she no longer cares. What they do not see is the battle she fought to reach this calm. They do not see the tears she swallowed. They do not see the fears she faced alone. They only see the result, not the process. When a woman learns to live without leaning, she stops fearing collapse. She understands that attachments are beautiful, but inner stability is essential. She realizes that love should add to her life, not replace her foundation. She becomes selective, not because she is heartless, but because she is healed. She stops chasing those who are unsure about her. She stops explaining her value to those who refuse to see it. And in that quiet self-respect, her confidence grows naturally. One day, people will look at her strength and think she was always like this. They will not see the version of her that doubted everything. They will not see the nights she fought hopelessness. They will not see how she rebuilt herself from emotional ruins. They will only see the strength that survived. If you're walking alone right now, do not rush to escape this chapter. Do not shame yourself for feeling tired. This phase is not here to isolate you. It is here to introduce you to your own depth. It is teaching you what you can endure, what you can overcome, and how powerful you truly are. Sometimes life steps back so that you may step forward. Sometimes people leave so that you may meet yourself. Sometimes silence arrives so that your inner voice can finally be heard. Being alone does not mean you are empty. It means you are finally learning how to be complete. And the woman who learns how to be complete on her own will never again beg for a place in anyone's life, because she has already built her own.